Hello, everyone. Today, I'm very excited about our 30th interview from the ToolSense Interview Series workshop talks. I'm Jennifer, and I'm responsible for communication at ToolSense. And our guest today is Aaron Leigh Nevatt, Environmental Health and Safety Director at JLL. And then, of course, I would like to introduce Alexander Manafi, CEO and co-founder of ToolSense. Mr. Nevatt, perhaps you could tell us a few sentences about yourself and JLL. Where are you based? How many employees do you have? And what solutions do you provide?
So I am the JLL HSSC director for the Genentech account in South San Francisco. And we have 4 different sites in California. They have some other sites across the country. They're biopharma, one of the leaders in the industry. And JLL supports them with the integrated facilities management model. So we do facilities for all of their sites. And I have a team of environmental health and safety professionals that support each site. And our scope includes everything from hazardous waste to equipment inspections to program management compliance. We have all of the EHS scope for JLL as well as supporting the Genentech account EH&S programs.
Great, thank you. Then we already reached our first question. How did you first get in touch with ToolSense?
So part of JLL's arrangement with all of our clients is that we always look for opportunities for innovation, cost savings, things like that. ToolSense was identified as a way to track our equipment inspections for environmental health and safety outside of the existing CMMS system, which is SAP at our current client, and a little bit challenging for the way that we do inspections. And this tool was identified as a more efficient, more effective way to track inspections and demonstrate compliance.
That sounds great. Thank you. And Mr. Nevatt, how do you work in asset management and safety checks prior to ToolSense, and what were the challenges?
So prior to ToolSense, we started out in SAP with work orders. That was a requirement for the account. That didn't work very well. We have over 33,800 assets that we inspect monthly plus. So doing that many work orders every month was a pretty big burden, and it didn't make a lot of sense. And so we tried another program several years ago where we would kind of take it out of SAP and then try and link it to SAP, and that didn't go over well. That didn't work. And we went to, unfortunately, spreadsheets. So we were just literally using spreadsheets to track our inspections, and then once a month putting those spreadsheets in SAP to meet the client requirement.
Thank you. And why did you decide for a partnership with ToolSense? Where do you see the added value that ToolSense can bring to JLL?
So we first looked at it from a innovation opportunity for the client. One of the challenges that the client has is that they know we're doing inspections, and they know we're signing off on tags, and they know we're in the areas we're supposed to be in. But they don't have the resources to go through and do any QA, QC or check, but yet they have inspection requirements for their staff in the laboratories and production areas and things like that. So when they have a question about an asset, they would have to email us, put in a work order, something like that. Today, they can just scan the QR code. So it's a huge, huge efficiency on their end. They can have all the information they want immediately. On our end, from operationally, using a QR code was very valuable because instead of carrying around a spreadsheet hoping you got everything, you just go around and scan QR codes, and when you're done for the day, you'll see what you missed if you missed anything. And so that was a QA QC advantage on our part, and it also provided the client with a lot of confidence that we're doing what needs to be done. The other thing that it allows us to do is to track compliance outside of SAP and provide those reports to the client, which they like much more than what we were doing.
That sounds already pretty great. So maybe the next question, what is your vision for the partnership with ToolSense?
My vision is that we have a lot of different accounts in JLL that have an opportunity to use a tool like this. Some of them are relatively small. They have 10, 15 JLL employees. The account that I'm on has I think over 400 employees and multiple sites, and some of our sites are thousands of employees. So there's a lot of opportunity depending on the client and what their operation is and what's acceptable to them to use some or all of the features of ToolSense. We're currently focused on 2 accounts. I actually manage 2 accounts, and we're setting up the other account now. And for the other account, it's a smaller account, and it just really makes sense for them to have a tool like this instead of trying to build out the client's CMMS system with all of the inspections and things like that. So going into an account, it's more efficient to use a tool like this. And I think there's a lot of there's high end user acceptance both on the client side and on the people that are doing the inspections. So my vision is that we would add this to our toolbox depending on the client and the size and the scope that they're doing, but have this available to them as an option to show the client that we're innovating and we're doing the things that they need done.
Thank you. And you already named some, but what are the situations in which ToolSense can help you in your operations, and where can you save time and money with ToolSense?
So I think loss control is one of the things that we're looking at as an organization. It's not as much a focus for JLL as it is for the client because the client purchases most of what we use. But on our end, it's an operational efficiency issue. So we're looking at tagging and tracking high value items that might leave the site. We have a mobile engineering operation that would be able to leverage this to find out where their equipment is when they need it. So there are operational efficiencies there. And I think generally we're looking to have overall a tool that's being used by enough accounts that we can actually use it strategically to look at what's being done, who's doing what, the frequencies, what our scope of work is. There are a lot of opportunities to review our performance internally and look for process improvements if we have that kind of data set.
Thank you. And where do you see the status quo of digitalization in the facility management industry, and what do you think will change within the next 10 years?
That's a really interesting question. I think one of the things that everyone is looking at right now is AI. I don't know how AI is going to be integrated into our CMMS and our service centers and things like that. But everyone is looking at it. And I think that's probably going to be the biggest change we see in the next 10 years is the process behind building systems like a SAP database to do all of these things will somehow have AI integrated into it. And being able to standardize as much as we can and be able to have data sets that we can look at to do that is going to be critical. So the more tools we put in place that are electronic based to do the work that we're doing, the better off we're going to be in 10 years when things are much more automated than they are now.
Yeah, that sounds good. And maybe the question directed to Alexander, would you like to add anything here?
Yeah, I mean, in general, as Aaron said, AI, of course, is a big topic. And I mean, what's also especially interesting is, of course, because JLL is one of the biggest company companies in the industry, of course, right? And to for us to have a bit of an impact and maybe make life a bit easier for people on site there is really exciting for us. And also, I think it's really good combination to, of course, like you have big tools like an SAP, maybe are in some instances a bit too much and not sometimes maybe not the most versatile. And so if we can have little speedboats around that and make life easier for people on the site, then of course that's a great thing to do. So yeah, we are really happy to support JLL here, and yeah.
Thank you. Then we have already reached the end. Thank you very much for this exciting exchange. I was very pleased that you, Mr. Nevatt, were here today, and perhaps we will hear from each other again very soon.
Thank you.